Welcome back to Something is Up. Today's conversation is a journey through visions, awakening, and the mystery of what might lie ahead for our world. My guest is Elmore, a hypnotherapist, Reiki master, channeler, and spiritual counselor who has lived through multiple near-death experiences that opened her awareness to higher realms of consciousness. In one of her early encounters, Anna says she was brought before a vast council of light beings, one that she instinctively recognized, a gathering where the fate of the earth itself was being discussed. Since then, she has dedicated her life to helping others awaken, heal, and remember who they truly are. Together, we explore her story, her connection with the collective consciousness she calls the Elohim, and what these beings want us to understand about the extraordinary times we're living in. So, let's begin. Hey, Anna.
Hi, Antonio. How
How are
you?
you? I'm good.
Me
Is it
too.
afternoon, morning for you today?
It is. It's almost 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay. And you are in Texas.
I am. I'm in Austin, Texas. What time is it where you are?
Right now is 20 to 11 p.m.
Oh, it's very late. Yeah.
It's good. When back in Sicily, temperature is still good, so you can enjoy also these hours.
Where are you in Italy?
I am in Sicily right now, very
Sicily.
south. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's been a while since we last spoke. We had I had a session with you, a past life regression session, and it was a great experience. My very first past life regression, and since then a lot of things happened. But most importantly, I think that a lot of things is happening in general in the world, apart from what's visible. Might not be great news, but it seems to me that a lot of things are happening in terms of the acceleration of what many people call ascension, the shift, the awakening of the collective, etc., etc. At least this is the perception that I have, and I've been asking around, and so I'm interested also in understanding your point of view. But before we jump right into the conversation, do you want to briefly introduce yourself and tell the audience that might not know you who you are and how you came to become the person that you are today?
Sure. I'd be happy to share. So at the moment, my primary endeavor and passion is hypnotherapy and guided meditation and spiritual counseling. I just absolutely love it. I find it to be the most helpful, insightful, powerful, transformative method for the evolution of consciousness, other than psychedelics and spiritually transformative experiences that come about from like near-death experiences and other traumatic issues, episodes. But yeah, I became a hypnotherapist and spiritual counselor after I was an adult. I already had was a full-time mother and housewife and homeschool teacher. I was married for 20 years. Then I had my awakening, which was in the astral plane, in the dream state. It had nothing to do with psychedelics. It had nothing to do with a spiritual practice. It was spontaneous. And what happened was I was taken to a realm, a higher realm of the spirit, of the astral plane, what some people may call the heavenly realms. And I was taken there by a spirit guide who I had no conscious memory of ever knowing, but she, like, my heart recognized her as if she had been my sister. It's like a heart connection. And she was a Native American woman. She took me up to this area that I recognize as a perfected, refined version of Yellowstone National Park. And I have never been there in the physical. But after this experience, I researched and tried to find where in the world this looks like, where in the world this is. And it looks just like the Yellowstone River and the mountains and the trees there. And so what she brought me to was a gathering of thousands of individuals, of light beings, and humanoid, not all human, but I had a sense of they are all human now, but we've all gathered from many different homes, different planets, but we're all here now on Earth. And so there were thousands in this clearing, but when we landed there, there was this table. It was like a conference table that went out as far as the eye could see. And when we landed, I could see over the shoulder of the first three individuals who were closest to me, and I could see that what they were looking at was images of what was soon to come and what since then has happened. And so the first one was wildfires all over the planet. The second one was human strife, particularly children, young children being pulled out of concrete rubble and dust. And then the last one on the corner was something that at the time I did not really understand. I could not, I guess, appreciate, because I didn't know. It was very confusing to me. And it was like, oh, one moment. Okay, sorry about that. You'll have to
Not a
edit
problem.
maybe.
Yeah.
So yeah, the final image that I was shown, and this was like live action motion picture, but it was different for each individual. It was like they had something to do with it, as far as somehow governing it in some way, or minimizing the impact in some way, or maximizing the impact to our evolution of consciousness. Like I realized the only reason we were there was to create a plan to accelerate the evolution of consciousness, because time was almost up. And so that last image was two images in one, fading back and forth, and it was an apocalyptic image, like Mad Max, and like the whole planet on fire. And then the other image where it faded back to was like paradise, like heaven on earth, very peaceful and tranquil. And it was just such a contrast, but it was in the same image. It was like, I didn't know if it was a choice between the two outcomes, or if it was they were both happening at the same time. And so I later found out that yes, the answer is both. And whichever one we experience is determined by our frequency. We cannot experience that which we are not a vibratory match to. So there's a spectrum, just like octaves in music, right? You have like an opera singer singing a high note and the glass shatters because it cannot match her frequency. So it cannot exist in the same space, right? Up to a certain point. And
How do
so,
you interpret their reality? Does it is because I've heard interpretation of what the shift and the new earth means for different people, and there are not always the same understanding or representation of how that will manifest. Some people will say, no, the planet is just one, and if you have a different level of consciousness, you live in a different state. Basically, meaning it doesn't mean if you have rebel around you, you're still centered, you still perceive oneness, and so you still see a reason for things being in that way, and so you don't go into despair. And for other people, you are taken and just put in a parallel dimension
mhm.
where everything is perfect. What's your understanding? What's your interpretation?
So there are degrees of truth to all of it. Depending on one's frequency, we experience different octaves, for example. So if you have the high end and the low end, and it's easier to harmonize. If you ask any musician, it's much easier to harmonize when you are in the higher end of like the keys on a piano, right? The lower end, it is much more difficult to harmonize with those keys of low frequency. But even within the same octave, it's the same. So for example, I liken it to what a lot of people like. COVID was just a taste of what we have ahead of us. Everything that we've experienced is preparing us for what is to come. And so, however you experienced COVID may be a sign of how you may want to change your frequency for the future, for what we have coming very soon. And it's already starting. It's just amplifying every day that goes by. It's just becoming more, we're getting closer to that tipping point for everyone. And so for me, during COVID, I was experiencing two totally different realities. I was a nurse in the ICU during COVID. I graduated May 2020, right, at the worst of the pandemic, right? And back then they didn't know really what it was. The medical establishment, they were afraid. And so that's when the vaccination became a thing as well. And so while I was nurse in the ICU, I also, on my days off, I would teach breath work and go to yoga and go to spiritually meetings where people would get together without masks, where nobody was vaccinated and nobody got sick. And if they did, it was less than the flu, right? But at the same time, while I was in the ICU, I had patients who had been triple vaccinated dying from the pandemic, not from the vaccine, from the pandemic. And so it is we need to understand what our subconscious beliefs are, not just what our conscious beliefs are, because the subconscious beliefs are what determine our experience, our reality, right? As soon as you change your subconscious belief or become even aware of it, your life can change, your health can change, everything can change in an instant. Like miraculous changes can happen when you become aware of your subconscious beliefs. I mean, even the Bible says, as you believe, so be it unto you, right? And I'm not sure if that's, you know, perfect verbatim quotes, but it is the case. And so, and then I also noticed that after, later along during the pandemic, we had people who were even affected by the vaccine itself. And so I went and I did a meditation just to try to get more clarity on COVID-19. And so I came to the understanding that the virus and the vaccine are exactly the same. Energetically, spiritually, it's just an opportunity for people to learn how to not be affected by something outside of themselves, right? And, you know, we can get into the whole minutia, if you want, of like victimization, how it could have been used as a test to see how people will behave under certain circumstances. And yes, that is a thing, but it honestly does not benefit us in any way to even spend any time on that, right? Other than for entertainment. So anyways, yeah, so while I was having these experiences of death and fear, and control and manipulation and victimization, I was experiencing a totally different world of freedom and sovereignty and health and wellness and spirituality, versus like religion and government, right? And so I understood that whatever we believe subconsciously, not just consciously, becomes our reality. That's the way it works here in this realm. And so when I realized that as my truth, my understanding, and I saw evidence of it everywhere, I decided to quit nursing and go professionally into hypnotherapy and spiritual counseling, which at the time I had just been doing as a hobby. So that's how I got to where I am now. But let me go back again and just to that encounter that I had of that council. It was a council of thousands of people, because it all happened like in slow motion, very quickly, but in slow motion. So as I landed there, at the same time, we had a being of very high authority land there. He was materializing as he was descending. And when he touched ground, I saw the most beautiful, most handsome, most serious man that I have ever seen before or since. He was angelic. He was an angel, but he didn't have wings. And I had no memory of ever meeting him before, but something in me recognized his authority. In that state, in the spirit realm, we just know things about everyone and each other. Memories are different there, right? It's like you may not have ever met anyone in this life, but in the spirit realm, you recognize them the more time you spend with them. You're like, oh, you're my great 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 grandfather. Oh, you know, things like that. And so this individual, everyone just recognized his authority. It was like when he arrived, everybody was like, oh, you know, and he was there. The energy, the aura of it all was to do business. We were there to plan, to make a decision. I haven't shared this with anyone before, but this individual had the authority to and destroy all life on earth. And he would not do it for any other reason other than to end suffering, because the evolution of consciousness and suffering, like the suffering outweighed the evolution of consciousness. So his role, he was basically the guardian of consciousness on planet Earth, not just for humanity, but for all the life on planet Earth and the planet herself. And so his role, and when he landed, I saw him, and he looked like he was in his late 20s, like 26 years old, but I knew that he was thousands of years old. He was ancient. And so I think the name Ancient of Days is like the most appropriate name for him, but so many different names have come to my awareness that could also be given to him, that he fulfills that role as well, like Sanat Kumara, like Archangel Sandalphon, like just, there's many, like, but anyways, this individual, he just was the most powerful individual there. And like I said, there were thousands, maybe 144,000. I don't know. But yeah, so as soon as that happened, I came to the realization, I woke up basically in spirit, and I realized that we are not just this body temple. We never cease to exist. We don't just, die and decay and become soil. That's just the flesh. We are here to experience something that's sacred, to become, we're basically godlings in training. We are all bits and pieces of Creator, and we are at a time in history that is highly significant, and there's only now, right? Everything in history, everything in our own personal past stems from this now moment, and our memories work like that as well. So if you think that, if you attach yourself to any past trauma, any abuse, or any, victimization like that, you're going to stay there, when you can actually heal that, forget that it even happened, and become a totally different person. And then all your memories also will change. And then everything around you will also change. All the memories we have, we think that they happened before our current experience in this linear perspective. But in reality, if you change your current perspective, your current belief system, all your memories will change. You will align yourself with a different timeline that is totally different, including many events in your past, significant events in your past, and insignificant events too. So yeah. Anyways, so where we are now, where that leads to now is, we are headed towards great transformation, and some people this may bring up fear in some people, but like the word, World War III, right? Seems like every day it's becoming more volatile. And because the current establishment, the people in charge, have not changed in centuries, right? They're all just basically reincarnations of the same energy, the same spirit. They're just giving us an opportunity to have experiences that we can't have anywhere else, right? And so but there comes a point where if we keep repeating the same scenarios over and over and over again, it's like, all right, the third time's the charm. That's it. You're not going to be given another opportunity. It's time to reset. It's time to reset. And there will be like a mass ascension. Some call it ascension, some call it harvest, some call it like a rapture, right? Like the second coming. It's all going to happen, and we're all going to experience one side of that or another, so yeah, I'm rambling now, but I'm happy to answer any questions
No,
and
absolutely.
help me get back on track.
No, don't worry about it. And so what does it mean experiencing one side or the other? What images can you give us to clarify what one side could look like and the other side could look like?
Okay, so we could have, for example, World War III, and there could be an experience of total peace and trust and fearlessness. And then there could also be the experience of devastation, fear, and lots of discomfort, right? And all of that, whether we experience one or the other, is determined by our acceptance or resistance to every now moment. And so everything that we see happening outside in the world around us is a projection, is a mirror of ourselves. And so if we don't like what we are seeing in the world around us, then the easiest way to change that is to focus on ourselves, on where is that in myself? Where do I find that in myself? And as soon as you can heal that in yourself, that will either not matter or not become part of your reality. And again, I think it's important to know. So the few times that I pay attention to what's happening outside of my own life and circumstances, like my friends, my neighbors, my family, I look at like the news or YouTube or things like that just to get like an understanding. It's just like a bigger reflection, a bigger mirror to see, okay, where are we now? Where are we now as a collective, as a what is the shadow that's coming up now, right? Unprocessed shadow is all coming up now. And so it gives me kind of like an idea of, okay, so we're this far along. Okay, we're getting this close to the point of no return. It's kind of like the trajectory that we're on, like when you're on a train, if you're on the railroad track. Eventually you may be able to switch trains, but at a certain point it becomes too late. And right now we are almost there, where it becomes too late to change our trajectory as a collective when it comes to World War III, for example.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I assume timelines and time frames are not set in stone, so it really depends on how the collective reacts to every now moment. But the perception is that there's the processing of our shadows is going to end soon, and we're going to have some major events unfolding one way or the other. A lot of people talk about the solar flash. Other
Hmm.
people talk about wars. A lot of people say one before the other or one after the other, etc., etc. But the perception is always that we live on a very particular era
Hmm.
of human evolution, let's say. Is that fair to
Yes.
say?
Yes, absolutely. That's perfect. Perfect. So what I was shown was like in the negative scenario, which, the polarity, duality, there's no right, wrong, there's no good, bad, there's just what causes suffering, what doesn't, you know. And um in that scenario, I saw the entire planet on fire, and I didn't know what caused it. I didn't know if it was from a solar flare. I didn't know if it was from nuclear weapons. I didn't know if it was from like asteroids, meteors, I didn't know. And it could be that it's one or all of those things. And it could also be that that's just in the spirit, because like I said before, everything manifests in the spirit before it becomes in the physical. And so right now I see it in spirit, like the whole world is on fire. Um,
How do you
and
sense? How do you sense that? What does it mean? I feel it in spirit. For people that are not sensitive to energies, that are not aware of their psychic abilities, what is the mechanic for you to feel these things in your body?
so it feels like, to me, like I'm very thirsty all the time. And I look outside and I see, I see nature, and nature also looks very thirsty. And it also, getting, just when I meditate and I connect with Mother Earth, she is it's purgative. It's that feeling of purging. And um and I also have been feeling the need to do it myself, to like detox. And um and then I also see everything around me, just not so much in my personal life, but in like the lives of my clients and of the world itself. It's just like more chaotic. It's more chaotic, and things are just, people are being forced to deal with things that they have not been facing. And so it's all like culminating now, and it's becoming a bit uncomfortable, and um almost impossible for people to deal with, because it's so much at the same time. People dealing with financial instability, people dealing with health issues, people dealing with like mental instability, and also what people may call like the demonic realm is showing its face a lot more. Oppression, and like the pain body manifesting. Um, yeah, so it's just a lot more of that. Whereas I don't see it as a bad thing. I see it as something that needs to happen, right?
Okay.
Something that needs to happen. You can't live with all of this festering beneath, underneath, unseen. It's basically everything is coming to the light, and we're all, maybe shocked at what we see, but in reality it's been there all along, and we are just now becoming aware. So we're going to see more of that. more violent
Understood.
attacks, unfortunately, because if people, so we are vessels. We are all like the physical body temple is a vessel. And when it is out of balance, when we do not fill it with love and light and authority, it is easily taken over and impacted by things that do not have our best interest, like disease, mental illness, um, demonic oppression, even up to possession, all of that. It's like I've seen it more now than ever before. And you even see it in the news if you've been paying attention. It's like so obvious that's demonic,
Yeah.
So it's like the gates of heaven and hell have opened. Yeah.
How long ago was this experience?
Uh, which experience?
The one of you being transported to this gathering?
Oh, that happened in 2013.
13.
Yeah,
Okay.
and since then I have seen things happen that I was shown, like the fires all over the planet, the historic wildfires all over the planet. And I knew it wasn't just the wildfires, it was Mother Nature herself. So
Mm.
we've had since then historic flooding, historic, storms and historic drought. I mean, everything has just been amplified since then. Um and then the whole thing with the children in the Middle East. Back then I didn't know Gaza. I didn't really pay attention to that. But then as soon as I saw things after October, I think it was October 7th when it happened.
Yes.
Yeah. I realized that that's what I was shown. I was shown that was the trigger that would cause all of these children to be slaughtered, basically crushed, whatever.
And
So it's like it's progressed chronologically, just as I was shown in that experience.
understood. And
Hmm
2013 means that this was after a couple of almost near-death experiences that you had,
hmm
correct?
Yes, that's
So,
right. That's right. Yeah.
so you
So
already had an opening, a psychic opening after those experiences. This was not your first psychic experience, let's say.
that's true. Yeah. I used to always, like, growing up, I had, um, I lucid dreamt and I was taken out of my body quite often. But I never really, I thought everybody had that. And I think we all do, but we just, think it's a regular dream and it's not. Um, and then after, my first near death experience. And so I want to just clarify that I did not have a clinical death, but I experienced all of the other scenarios that are considered to be near death experience. So I had bilocation of consciousness. I had time dilation. I got to see in 360-degree view. I also got to experience like the eternal now moment, I guess. So it's not just time dilation, but the eternal now moment where you can have a sense of all the possible trajectories. Kind of like it felt like I was in a combination lock, right? And so whichever, like there were gears and things like that, energetically, spiritually, that were connected to my experience, my potential trajectories. And so yeah, and in each one it was a vehicle accident and my vehicle was destroyed and I was hospitalized as well for one of them. The other two, I miraculously was not hospitalized. And I was not the driver, I was the passenger in one of them. So, but these, I think, just are, it was like an agreement. Some people may call it a curse, because I had a past life where I died in a vehicular accident, but back then it was like a carriage, or a wagon, like pulled by like a mule, you know. But yeah, and so all of these experiences, it took that to wake me up to the nature of my reality, and not that, you know, that I had something to do with that, that it wasn't just, okay, accept it, which I did, but like I have a friend who, when he was a child, he and his whole soccer football team, saw a UFO, a saucer, and they all saw it. Even the parents saw it. And he just, went through his whole life like, yeah, it happened. Doesn't really mean anything. I have absolutely no interest whatsoever. That's how I was after my first two experiences, near-death experiences. After the third one, I was like, I woke up, you know,
Okay.
and so
So
that's. Mhm, go
how
ahead.
did your life change after the last one? What does it mean you woke up?
So I realized that this is not, I'm not here to do what this society, this culture, this planet expects. Like, I'm not here to work hard and, just do things for my own, for consumption, right? For riches, for wealth, for clothes, for materialistic things. I'm here like that, at that time, that was what I strived for. And now I could care less. Now all I care about is helping ease the suffering of others, and also the evolution of consciousness, because that is paramount. And my understanding is that everything is consciousness. There's nothing that is not consciousness. And love is consciousness self-realized. And so when I left nursing, I immediately started facilitating psychedelic retreats for veterans with PTSD and their families. And I experienced some of those psychedelics myself, ayahuasca a couple of times, 5-MeO DMT or bufo. What else? Yeah, psychedelic mushrooms, psilocybin, innumerable amount of times. That's a fun way to journey. And when you become adept at controlling your journey, you can actually use it as a vehicle to gather information, knowledge. And then I got into the meditation, and I realized that I can get further faster once I become adept at meditating than I can with any psychedelics. So it's been a couple of years since I have even touched psychedelics.
Okay.
I don't use them anymore. I don't need them anymore. I can actually induce a psychedelic-like experience just with meditation and
Okay.
guided meditation as well. I can help do that for others as well. So
Is it
that is my
specific about
passion.
meditation? Is it breath work? Is
So breath work can be very powerful. I find it very cathartic. Um, but it's, you can do it for maybe an hour. I wouldn't recommend doing it for more than that. It can be very intense, just like psychedelics as well. Um, So the type of guided meditation I do is similar to the hypnosis that I do. Um, I take you on journeys into your own psyche as if you're walking on a path. And then I also think that the past life regression, whether you believe in past lives or not, is very helpful as well, because what that does is it helps, like, all of the ancestral knowledge, it gives you access to that, right? Down to the level of the DNA. And so you can heal anything, whether it be physical, mental, emotional, using guided meditation and hypnosis. So I have found that hypnosis is just another word for guided meditation, really.
Yes.
Mhm.
But you're also a energy healer. You're also a Reiki master, right?
Yeah, yeah. I am a Reiki master, but what's funny about that is the only reason I became a Reiki master was because I thought I needed that certificate, right? To legitimize what I do. And in reality, I felt totally the same before and after the Reiki and the certification, the training, right? So I think we all have this ability. And, whether you call it Reiki, whether you call it Qigong, whether you call it laying on of hands, it's all the same energy, Holy Spirit, love, light, whatever. It's all the same conscious life force energy. And the most powerful way that it works is not claiming that it's me. It's basically getting out of the way, my ego out of the way, and allowing it to go through me as a conduit. And we
Yep.
all have this ability. Mhm.
Any this so I'm also a Reiki practitioner. That was something that uh, I was called to do a few months ago. I was supposed to be on my Reiki master course today, but I had to postpone it. And so, what any particular experience that with Reiki or in any case energy healing that really surprised you? Any, like, say, miraculous experiences that you witnessed as a conduit of the energy?
Sure. So, I've had my most profound experiences with animals. I find they have less resistance, right? And so, this was even before I became certified. I had, so we had some medical fosters, dogs and cows that they were going to be euthanized, but instead we took them and would keep them until they were healthy enough and found them new homes, right? Instead of being euthanized. And so the first dog that we had was a dog that had gotten its leg caught in like a hunting trap. And so it had severed its Achilles tendon. And so um, the vet, they had performed surgery on it, and then we took over. And so when I had this dog, it was highly energetic, very high energy. There was no way that unless we were going to drug it, which we didn't, keep it from running around, And so it ended, the Achilles tendon ended snapping again. The surgery was unsuccessful. And so I could see the wound, and you could see both ends of the Achilles tendon sticking out of the wound. And I knew that if I was going to take it back to the vet, that they would amputate, right? And so I was like, nope, I'm not doing that. And so instead, I just, every single day, I would perform Reiki on it, but I didn't call it Reiki. I called it love and light. I didn't know what Reiki was at the time. So I think the heart connection is the most important aspect of it. because I poured love into it. And miraculously, it mended itself. And every day, all I would do was pour love into it and make sure that it was clean and disinfected, and I would change the bandage. That's the only thing I did every day for like 2 weeks. And miraculously, it closed up. It healed perfectly. She ran as if nothing had ever happened, and she did not ever get surgery. It healed itself. Like, you can't explain that
Yeah.
medically, right?
Yeah.
So that was the first miraculous experience that I had with energy healing. Then I started doing it for our cows. We had some miniature zebu cows who had severe arthritis because they were used as little kid rodeo cows. And the kids were a bit too heavy for the cow because they were miniature. And so we thought we were going to have to put her down because she was in so much pain due to the arthritis. And so I helped her. And then I decided to move on to humans. I helped my husband at the time. So he ended up getting a spider bite on his arm, or on his forearm, a spider bite. And after almost a week, it just kept getting worse, like the swelling. And he actually had pain going up his arm into his chest from that spider bite. And so I was like, you're going to have to go to the doctor. He hated going to the doctor. So if this doesn't get better, you're going to the doctor. But can I just try it on you, please? And he was like, fine. The only reason he let me was because he didn't want to go to the doctor, right? So I did maybe 10 minutes of love and light on the wound. And then I also, with intention, moved the energy down and like out. I just energetically was doing this, like getting it out energetically, all of the poison, the toxin of the spider bite. The next day, after a week of having more pain and swelling and redness going towards his chest, the next day, his forearm looked like Popeye. It was so swollen and red, which it was kind of like, ooh, oh my God. But then the following day after that, it was gone. It was gone. All he had was like a little scab. That's it. Nothing. So, you could say it's coincidence. I know that it happened. It's real. And so, yeah, I've also had interesting experiences where like, either the pain, I don't know if you want to call it the pain body or demons, right? They started to manifest when I was doing energy work. So this was before I was certified also. I was helping someone with their knee pain. I think they had surgery on their knee. And I was just doing the love and light. And then all of a sudden, he started getting angry. He was like, stop doing that. You don't know what you're doing. Stop it. It hurts. And so I realized, oh, wow. If all I'm doing is sending love and light and it hurts, who is it hurting, really? It's not hurting the human. It's hurting something else, something that doesn't like love and light, right? And so I found that very interesting too. Yeah.
You had incredible experiences, and it seems that, would you say that you came into this life with this plan to awaken through these experiences to get on your path? And what do you think let's say your mission is at this stage?
Mm-hmm. So I think that I came here for multiple purposes, multiple reasons. One, because it was exciting. Another, to achieve self-mastery through perceived limitation, right? Um, and then also, like, all these experiences, I think they didn't need to happen had I known, or had I had more compassion in the beginning. Like, I came into this world just, as many do, with, like, narcissistic tendencies, um, very selfish, never wanting children, never wanting to be, malicious, but also not willing to die for anything, right? Um, and so because of all of these experiences, I definitely believe that my higher self, my guides, they set this up, and I agreed to this to happen in order to wake up, because that's just what it took. This, I think we don't really know on the other side how blind we are here. We really are blind, and also I think a lot of just trauma cracks you open.
Yeah.
It allows, like, so many people with spiritual gifts. Almost everyone I know has had some type of trauma to crack them open. It's like, a forger, a blacksmith, right? To make the metal harder, you have to hit it. You have to hit it. You got to burn it. You got to throw it in the fire. So yeah, I think that's why I'm here. And my passion, and just to follow your passion, that's what I'm doing now. So
What is your passion?
the evolution of consciousness, and just to be able to have more capacity to love, and to allow, and just be in that state of radical acceptance, and to be able to emanate that and allow people to match that. Like, we're all like big tuning forks, and so we have the conscious choice to either allow ourselves to stay centered and allow others to match our energy, or to forget and to fall into the drama and match the energy around us, right? So yeah, just to fine tune my instrument. That is my passion, to fine tune this instrument.
That's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And along the way, you also started channeling a collective of, how would you describe it? The
So
entities.
I call them Elohim. It is the collective consciousness of my soul family, which I would say has thousands of members in it as well. It feels like all the stars in the sky, basically, in my sight, as far as the eye can see. So, maybe they were also at that table in that experience that I had. But I feel like it's different. These have higher perspective. They are not, they know what it is like to be human, but they are currently not incarnate at this time. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And just for people that are new, or in any case have not experienced themselves yet, the psychic abilities opening up, how do you perceive it? How does channeling work for you? And would you describe it, yourself as clairvoyant, clairauditing, or clairsentience? What is your mechanism for perceiving this collective consciousness and channeling them?
So when I connect with them, what I do is just remember their, I guess, vibration, frequency, their character, their energy. It's just like when you think about remembering what it's like to connect with a loved one or a friend. you know, just what it's like you don't even need to be in their presence anymore. When you think of them, you remember what their voice sounds like, you remember what their fragrance smells like, right? You just, it's just a remembering. So when I remember what it felt like to meet them for the first time, I connect with them again.
Okay.
That's what it's like for me. Yeah.
And then you see them, you hear them, you perceive information, your brain translate it. How does the message comes through?
So I get images. It depends, you know, depending on what the question is. Oftentimes I get images and then I have to translate that into words. And then sometimes I get the words themselves. So yeah, it's more like visual, not so much auditory, and then a lot of just like a knowing as well. And so that's how it is with them. But when my other like clairsentience, clairaudience, I when I'm not just communicating with them, but when I'm receiving information from the world around me, it's different sensations, like the sense of smell or the sense of taste.
Okay.
That's I think we all have different abilities, and the more that we use them, the more refined and more powerful they get. Mm-hmm.
So there's a
Yeah.
different mechanic when it comes to perceiving psychic insights versus channeling this collective consciousness. Your senses work in different ways. There are different clairs potentially engaged for those two different type of experiences, from what you, if I
Yes.
understand correctly.
And I think really what determines my experience is the questions that are asked. Because if they think that, you know, a different sensation is going to be more efficient for communication, they'll use it, right? Depending on what the question is. Like, you know, if we're talking about uh, a certain trajectory, they will show me the image of where we're headed. And sometimes it also has like a fragrance and a flavor, not just the image, right? Like, oh, I don't know, like the fires, when I saw that, it smells like smoke. It smells like barbecue. It smells, you know, also like metallic, you know, for some reason, like iron, you know, I don't know. So, yeah.
Do you feel like channeling the Elohim,
I
or
think they were really excited, and we had that power outage, and then I was kind of disappointed, but we'll see. I think they're still willing and excited. Yeah,
that would be
I think
beautiful? Thank
so.
you.
Sure, sure. All right. Let me have a little sip of water, tea. And it's perfect timing here because it's 4:44. Hey. So what I do is I just relax and open up. I find that when I am relaxed, I am receptive. When I'm anxious, I'm closed off. Yeah. So the channel is open, open and waiting and welcoming. If you have any questions, feel free.
Absolutely. It's a
Hmm.
pleasure speaking with you.
The
Um,
Elohim.
the My first question would be, what is the what is a message that is for the highest good of humanity at this particular time, where the outside world looks on fire, and yet we seem to be moving towards a raising consciousness. We've been told that should change our humanity forever. What does it look like for us, and what is it? What is it that we should continue doing or stop doing to move into the right direction? Let's say.
Yes. So no matter what you see happening around you, just know that it is all divine orchestration, and we play a role in it too. Humanity and Elohim, we are supporting you. You are never alone. This is the plan. It is on track. Heaven on earth is the plan. It's happening. Stay true. Know that this is the goal. Know that it's happening. No matter what is happening around you, have no fear. There's nothing to fear. We are eternal beings. You are, we are. They, so they're showing me like it's just child's play. This is how they play. That you don't have to be so serious.
Why now? Why is this happening now in this lifetime? Although time
Oh,
happens all at once, is there is this about the changes of the yuga cycles, the way we are moving into the universe? Why is this
yes.
ascension now?
So remember, we all chose to be here at this time. You all chose to be here at this time of great transformation, to be a part of it, to assist, to experience, to test your own mastery. And really, it is all very simple. Remember who you are, claim your authority, stay in love, amplify your love. This time, it's just in time is a difficult topic for them because everything is now where they are. It's like it's hard for wow, time is just an illusion. Time is necessary here for our perception, for our experience, for our limitations in the game of life. It's just another rule in the game of life on earth. And so it is advantageous, it is helpful, it is necessary to have the experience of limitation where the sands in the hourglass are almost out. And so this is what's necessary for the evolution of consciousness, for forgetting who we are in order to achieve self-mastery through perceived limitation. Time is actually our friend. Without time, then there is no pressure. There's no movement. Without time, there's only stagnation. So it is time. It
It's
is
time.
time.
How is this manifesting? So, for example, um, there is a conjunction right now, it seems, of different revelations, let's say, different happenings, from UFOs in the skies or orbs, spiritual beings, and in the spiritual community, all of this is intermixed, and it's difficult. It's almost like there's no difference between uh, ETs, spirits, uh, etc., etc. What is the reality we live in from your perspective? What's happening right now? Are we, let's say, is the veil thinning, and are we experiencing a larger reality at this moment on this planet? Are we starting to perceive things that we didn't perceive before? What's happening?
Yes, to all of those. Yes. So there are so many different types of UFOs and extraterrestrials and interdimensional beings, and some of them are also angelic and the same. What we call UFOs or UAPs, a lot of them are from the same dimension as humans are now in physical form, and then those are not necessarily the ones that we actually would like to engage with, because they have the same mentality as the current governmental organizations on our planet, the same frequency. But there are those that are like plasma beings, that they travel on ships made of light, that are alive, that are sentient as well. They are more angelic. They are also, we are also among them. So some of you have incarnated from these same individuals, these species, these angelic interdimensional beings. And so you have like a soup of everything, of all different types of beings, physical, non-physical, energetic, angelic, even reptilian, which tend to be known as negative, although they are not all negative orientation. And so we are at the point where already we have been engaging for decades, actually centuries, with humanity. And we actually are coming back to visit our children, ourselves. And so you may call it somewhat like traveling back in time in your perspective, where everything is now in our perspective. And so, yes, go ahead. Please ask the question again or continue.
No, absolutely. And so you said we've been engaging with humanity for centuries now.
Mm-hmm.
Are we experiencing a an organized disclosure, let's say, from where extraterrestrial, extra dimensional beings are working with some governments to unveil this wider reality to us? Are we seeing a war of factions inside our governments? Are we seeing our governments refusing to come clean and extraterrestrial showing up anyway? How can we read the reality that we live in right now?
So, again, yes to all of those questions. Those are the reality that you are aligning yourself with. So, if that excites you, that is what you are experiencing. That is what you will experience. But I do sense some victimization. And so if you want to align yourself, what is your ideal experience. Align yourself with that, and that will become your experience. It must become your subconscious belief. So everything, all the questions that you just asked are yes, but that's not because of something outside of yourself. That is because of what you have chosen to align yourself with, consciously or subconsciously, for your own growth and entertainment. So if we do not like what we see, then we need to decide what we want to align ourselves with and meditate on that. Consciously make the choice to feel what it feels like for that to be our reality. And it will become your reality. It could happen in an instant. And it will when you believe.
It's like shifting timeline, shifting realities, whereby what I perceive right now as being conflicts might become instead openness if I align to a reality that is open. Am I understanding correctly?
Yes, from your perspective, that is correct. From our perspective, everything is a projection of self. So if you look at, are you familiar with the toroidal field?
Yes.
So when you look at a torus from the top down, if you turn it on its side and look at it, and it looks like a vortex, right? As in motion, that is coming from the inside out. That is how reality is coming from the inside out. Consciousness is forming your reality from the inside out of you. And so when beings as Yeshua and others say that the kingdom of heaven is within you and without you, outside of you, it is 100% true. Everything is not just the kingdom of heaven, but your experience now is a projection of self, of your own consciousness. So diving deep, going in the opposite direction with your own consciousness, with your own intention, that it's like a wormhole into another dimension, into another reality, into yourself, into another parallel universe, where in conjunction with us, with higher self, with Elohim, with your soul family, spirit family, we all make these agreements for these certain experiences, for this certain growth, for this knowledge of self. And so certain things are allowed to change. And the higher self, your higher self, may choose to allow that or may not choose to allow that, even though we protest like little children, like when we have little temper tantrums. It's the higher self, Elohim, they find it hilarious. Like it's so funny. You know, when we're like, I changed my mind, I don't want this experience, then they respond with, nobody does. We all change our minds. Everybody down there changes their mind. Nobody wants to experience that. And it's they laugh not at us, with us, because it's loving mirth.
I said them many
That's
times.
sorry, repeat that. I'm sorry.
I said them many times that I
Oh
wanted to
yeah.
change the experience.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think one of the most important things is curiosity and radical acceptance, like no resistance. Do not resist whatever is happening around you. Just accept it. Change anything. Like discomfort, if there were no discomfort, there would be no change. Nobody would change if there was no discomfort, right? Everything would stay the same.
Yeah.
So search for beauty, search for beauty, search for joy, and become that as well. Become that which you search for. If you just focus on that, everything else will just be entertainment. Nothing to worry about. And trust, because you are not alone. You are never alone. You always will have everything that you need. Always. When you don't have trust, you block that. You are the only one preventing yourself from having what you want and what you need. So being in that state of trust and receptivity and just knowing that you have and you will have everything that you need, it will be so. And when you look back, you'll realize that it has always been so. Mm-hmm.
That's beautiful. Thank you very much. That I think is the last message for the audience and for humanity from this conversation today. I wanted to ask you a last question, but I think you already answered. What's the message for humanity? What's the message for us? And so thank you very much.
Yeah, they're very playful. They're all about, they're serious about being playful and joyful. If that makes any sense. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it does. It does.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Anna. And thank you, Elohim.
They thank you for doing what you're doing now. They're so, it's like a loving pride, like a mother or father for their child. Just so much, it's adoration. They adore you. That's what it is. It's adoration.
Thank you. Well, Anna, you gave me a lot of your time and I appreciate it. I'll ask you, where can people find you and how can people engage with you? If they want to know more, if they want some help, etc., etc.
So the best way to reach me is just send me an email. My email is lucidlioness2020. So just one word, lucidlioness, with the numbers 2020 at gmail.com. And I will reply as soon as I can. And yeah.
I'll add also the link of your website in the description of the message.
Yeah, you can share my website as well. I think that I'm quicker to respond by email. The website has become like a secondary. It's fine if you want to learn a little bit more about me. We can do that as well. The website.
Perfect. Do you want me to share the email also in the description of the video? Or?
Yeah, go ahead. The Lucid Lioness one. I think that one is better than just the Elmore.Anna because it's specifically for this. It's not just my personal.
Understood. Perfect. Well, it's been a pleasure, Anna. Thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome, Antonio.
I hope we're going to do it again.
Wonderful, wonderful. All right, have a good night. I know it's late over there.
Thank you very much. And you have a lovely week.
Yes, sweet dreams.
Thank you so much for watching. Something is Up is still at the very beginning, so every bit of support makes a huge difference in my ability to bring you more amazing stories and incredible guests. If you enjoy this conversation and feel called to support the channel, I'd be super grateful if you could just click the like and subscribe buttons and share the video with anyone you think might enjoy. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next episode.